I always thought the cabin trips with my friends were the safest, most predictable part of my life. Same group, same jokes, same cheap beer, same late-night card games where everyone argues about rules nobody actually remembers. It was supposed to be easy. Familiar. A place where nothing ever really changed. But this time something was different from the moment we stepped out of the car. Maybe it was the cool air settling in too fast. Maybe it was the strange, heavy silence between me and my wife, Lena, after a 2-hour drive where we barely exchanged more than a handful of words. Or maybe it was the way she rushed ahead of me toward the porch light, like she couldn't wait to get away. Either way, I felt it. I felt the shift in the air before a single word was spoken. Everyone else was already inside, music playing, beers cracking open, that typical chaotic energy of old friends reunited. I should have been excited. I usually was. But as I watched Lena walk through the doorway, smiling a little too brightly at everyone but me, this uneasy pressure settled right behind my ribs. A slow, tight ache I couldn't name yet. She slipped away from me the second we got inside. Literally, slipped away. Someone shouted her name, and she immediately lit up and hurried toward the kitchen. I tried to follow, tried to say something stupid and harmless like, "Wanna put our stuff down first?" But she didn't hear me. Or pretended not to. And maybe I wouldn't have thought twice about it if that wasn't how she'd been acting for weeks. Smiling when others were around. Going cold the second it was just us. I told myself not to overthink it. Not now. Not tonight. This was supposed to be a fun weekend, and maybe if we just relaxed, maybe if we got out of our damn routines, things would feel normal again. But then, the moment that really rattled me happened outside by the fire pit. The sun had gone down, everyone was half tipsy and loud, passing drinks around and telling old stories. I was laughing along, trying to shake off the tension in my chest, when Lena came over and stood beside me. Close. Too close. Close enough that I could hear her breathing over the music and the crackling fire. Close enough that her hair brushed my shoulder. It was the kind of closeness she hadn't given me in months. And for a second, just one painfully hopeful second, I thought maybe everything was okay. Maybe she still wanted me. Maybe whatever distance had grown between us was finally shrinking again. I reached for her hand. Instinct. Habit. Hope. Call it whatever you want. But the moment my fingers grazed hers, she pulled back, fast. Sharp. Almost flinching. She forced a smile, muttered something about being too warm, and stepped away from me so quickly it left my hand dangling in the air like an idiot's. The cold hit me instantly. But what hit even harder was what happened next. Because as she walked away, I noticed something, a glance over her shoulder. Not at me. Not toward anyone in our group by the fire. She looked toward the cabin's side porch. Into the dark. And someone was standing there. A silhouette. Tall. Still. Watching her. And the look she gave them. God, something twisted in my gut the second I saw it. Soft. Knowing. Almost guilty. I blinked, and the figure stepped back into the shadows, disappearing inside. Lena followed a moment later, pretending she was just going to grab another drink. But I knew. Something was going on. And the worst part? This wasn't even the beginning. It was just the first crack I finally chose to see. I didn't follow her right away. Honestly, I froze. It's embarrassing to admit, but I just sat there staring into the darkness where that silhouette had been. My friends were laughing beside me, oblivious, talking about some stupid prank from college. And I kept nodding at the right moments, pretending I was listening. Pretending I wasn't feeling my heartbeat slip lower and lower into my stomach. I kept replaying it. That tiny, guilty smile. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear, she only ever did that when she was nervous. The softness in her eyes, the kind I hadn't seen directed at me in months. I waited a minute. Then two. Finally I stood up, muttered something about getting another drink, and headed toward the cabin. Inside, the music was louder, the lights dimmer. People were crowded around the kitchen island, talking over each other. I scanned the room. No Lena. No silhouette guy. But the side porch door was slightly open. The cold air slipped inside in a thin line, brushing against my arm as I approached. And for some reason, I don't know why, my legs felt heavier with each step, like my body already knew something my brain refused to accept. I pushed the door open slowly. The porch was empty. But the feeling, that electric prickle of being watched, stayed. I stepped outside, looking around the corner of the cabin, then toward the trees. Nothing. No movement. No whisper of voices. Just the sound of the lake in the distance, and the muffled bass from inside. Then, I heard the faintest sound behind me. A single footstep. I whipped around, but the door was already closing, and whoever had just gone in was gone. And so was my wife. The pit in my stomach twisted into something darker. This night was just getting started. Lena reappeared 15 minutes later, laughing with two of our friends like she hadn't just vanished into the darkness with whoever that was. I tried to play it cool. Act normal. Act not paranoid. But when she walked past me, pretending she didn't notice the tension in my jaw, I reached out gently and said, "Hey, can we talk?" She froze for a fraction of a second. Most people wouldn't have noticed. But I saw it. That tiny micro-reaction. Like her entire body said, "Oh God, not now." Still, she smiled. Too bright. Too rehearsed. "Talk about what?" I tried to sound casual. "You disappeared for a bit. Everything okay?" Her eyes flickered, another tiny tell, and then she shrugged. "Oh, I was just in the bathroom. I didn't feel great after the drive." Bathroom. Sure. But the side porch door was still cracked open. And she hadn't come from that hallway. Something in me tightened. I wanted to ask her more, push a little, say, "I saw you walk outside. I saw you with someone." But something stopped me. Maybe fear. Maybe denial. Maybe the pathetic hope that I was wrong. So I nodded. "All right. Just checking." She kissed my cheek, quick, perfunctory, and went back to the crowd. But I didn't move. Because the bathroom? It was on the opposite side of the cabin. And someone was lying. And the worst part? It wouldn't be the last lie that night. Later, when most people migrated back outside, someone started a card game in the living room. Lena joined them, laughing, shuffling deck after deck like she didn't have a care in the world. But she left her phone on the coffee table. Face down. And normally, I'd never touch it. I don't like snooping. Never have. But when she stood up and walked to the kitchen, her screen lit up from an incoming message. And that alone wouldn't have grabbed my attention if not for the preview. "Are we good? Did he notice anything?" My blood went cold. I didn't touch her phone. Didn't flip it over. Didn't scroll. I didn't have to. That one message was enough to make my hands tremble. She came back a moment later, grabbed her phone without meeting my eyes, and tucked it into her pocket like it was stolen property. I swallowed hard. There was someone. And they were worried about me noticing them. I stepped outside, needing air, or maybe just needing to get away from her smile before I said something I couldn't take back. The fire had died down. A few guys were drunk and half asleep on camping chairs. No one noticed me. But someone was watching me. I felt it immediately. A presence. Somewhere near. I turned. And saw him. Leaning against the corner of the cabin. Half shadow, half moonlight. Eyes fixed right on me. He didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stared. And for the first time that night, I felt something new. Not just suspicion. Not just fear. A threat. I pretended not to notice him at first. I walked toward the lake, hands in my pockets, trying to act casual. But my heartbeat was pounding so loud in my ears I wondered if he could hear it. Eventually, I turned my head slightly, just enough to check. He was still there, watching me. And God help me, something about him felt familiar. But I couldn't place it. Too dark. Too far. Too many shadows hiding his face. But his posture, the tension in it, wasn't friendly. I finally walked back toward the fire pit, pretending to grab another beer from the cooler. I cracked it open, leaned on the railing, and said loud enough for him to hear, "You good over there, man?" Silence. Then, slowly, he stepped forward. Not a lot. Just enough for the firelight to hit his jawline, his eyes. Sharp. Dark. And absolutely not drunk like everyone else around us. He didn't smile. Didn't speak. Just stared at me for a heavy, suffocating moment. Then he turned and walked back toward the cabin's side door, the same one Lena had gone through earlier. And a sickening realization hit me. He knew I saw them. He knew I was starting to connect the dots. And he didn't care. He wanted me to know. When I re-entered the cabin, the kitchen lights were off except for one small lamp over the sink. Most people had drifted outside again. I heard voices. Low. Urgent. From behind the pantry door. I froze. Lena's voice. And his. I stepped closer, every cell in my body screaming to turn around, to pretend I didn't hear anything, but I couldn't. I leaned in. "I told you," she whispered. "Not here. Not now." A pause. He responded, deeper voice, frustrated, sharp. "You're acting like he already knows." My breath hitched. Lena whispered back. "He doesn't. He can't." My heart cracked so loudly I swear I heard it. I backed away before I heard more, stumbling into the hallway wall. I left the cabin as fast as I could, past the fire, past the music, past everything. I needed air. I needed space. I needed to not break down in front of our friends. I walked until the cabin lights faded behind me. And then I let myself feel it. The betrayal. The hurt. The stupid hope that I had been wrong. I wasn't. Not anymore. I sat on the dock staring at the water, trying to breathe through the shaking in my body. My thoughts weren't even coherent anymore, just flashes of memories, fears, and the sound of their voices whispering in my head. "He can't know. You're acting like he already knows." I pressed my palms to my eyes, swallowing back the nausea. How long? How many nights had she lied to me so effortlessly? Had he been around during those late work calls? Those girls' nights? Those "I'm tired, let's talk tomorrow" moments? Footsteps approached behind me. I tensed, ready for the worst. But it wasn't him. It was Lena. "Hey," she whispered, sitting beside me like nothing was wrong. "You okay? You disappeared." I stared at the water, unable to look at her. "Yeah," I said. "Just needed some air." She touched my arm gently, and I flinched. She noticed. Her hand froze. Then slowly retreated. Did something happen?" she asked quietly. And for a moment, I almost broke. Almost confronted her. Almost screamed, "I heard you." I know. But I didn't. Because something inside me whispered, "If you show your cards now, you lose." So I breathed out slowly and said, "Just tired." And in that moment, I swear she looked relieved. Relieved. That hurt more than anything. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake listening to everyone snoring, the wind hitting the windows, the creaking cabin walls. And sometime around 3 a.m., I heard something outside. Footsteps. Fast, uneven. Then a sharp grunt of pain. I got up quietly, slipped outside, and saw someone stumbling near the woodpile. It was him. The shadow guy. Holding his shoulder like he'd been hit or cut. He saw me and froze. For a moment, we both stood there, silent, tense, assessing each other in the moonlit yard. Then Lena burst out the back door. Wait! She ran to him. To him. My stomach dropped as she grabbed his arm, pulling it over her shoulder, helping him stand. Come inside, you're bleeding, she whispered. Bleeding? From what? I took a step forward. Lena, what's going on? She looked at me with wide, panicked eyes. Not guilty. Not caught. Scared. Please, she whispered. Just go inside. I'll explain later. Explain what? Why she was tending to a man who'd been hiding in the shadows all night. Why he knew me. Why they'd been whispering behind a closed door. But before I could speak, he said something that froze my blood. He shouldn't be here. Lena snapped at him under her breath. Stop. Not now. And with that single exchange, everything shattered again. Not cheating. Not an affair. Something else. Something worse. Something I didn't understand. I couldn't take it anymore. Lena, I said, my voice cracking. Tell me right now. Who is he? They both stopped. She looked at me like she was choosing her words carefully, too carefully. He's someone I used to know. Used to know. Right. The guy scoffed. Yeah. Sure. Used to. Shut up, she hissed at him. Then she grabbed my wrist, something she hadn't done in weeks, and said, Please. Just trust me. Tonight isn't the time. I don't trust you right now. I snapped. I don't trust anything right now. Her face crumpled. She opened her mouth to speak, to tell me the truth, maybe, but that's when the porch light flickered. And suddenly, someone inside the cabin shouted, Call 911! We all froze. Something had happened. We rushed inside. Two of our friends were kneeling over one of the guys, Jason, who had collapsed on the floor, unconscious and barely breathing. Someone had already grabbed their phone. Someone was shouting instructions. Someone else was crying. Chaos. But through it all, she kept looking at the shadow man. And he kept looking at her. Like they were communicating silently. Like this wasn't surprising to them. My head spun. Was he connected to this? Was she? Then I heard him mutter under his breath. It's starting. Starting? What the hell did that mean? Paramedics arrived and took Jason to the hospital. Most of the group was drunk, stunned, or panicking. People were crying, hugging, whispering. In the chaos, Lena grabbed my hand. Come with me, she said urgently. She led me to the guest room, shut the door, and locked it. Her hands were trembling. I need to tell you the truth, she whispered. My chest tightened. Finally, she was going to say it. But she didn't say what I expected. He wasn't supposed to find me, she said. Not here, not with you. I thought I was done with him. Done with him? I repeated. Lena, what is going on? She pressed a hand to her mouth, breathing fast. I made mistakes before I met you, she said. Big ones. Dangerous ones. Dangerous? My heart hammered. What kind of mistakes? She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, the kind that don't stay in the past. Before she could continue, the window behind us creaked. He was outside, watching us through the glass. I jumped up, ready to confront him, but Lena grabbed my arm. Don't! You don't understand what he's capable of. Capable of? What did you get involved in? I demanded. She swallowed hard. He's not just someone I dated. He's someone I escaped. Escaped. The word hit me like a punch. Her voice shook. I left him years ago. I moved cities. Changed my number. I thought he'd finally given up. She looked toward the window, eyes full of dread. He followed me here. She told me everything. How he had been controlling. How he tracked her phone. How he used her family against her. How she finally ran, terrified, and never looked back. My legs went weak. All this time. All these months of her being distant. She wasn't cheating. She wasn't disinterested. She wasn't lying to hurt me. She was scared. And hiding it. I didn't want to drag you into this, she whispered. I thought if I pretended everything was normal, he wouldn't find me again. I didn't want you to get hurt. My heart cracked in a different way. Not betrayal. Protection. She looked up at me with tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I pulled her into my arms, the first time she let me hold her in weeks. And she broke, sobbing into my chest. We didn't get long. A loud bang hit the door. Then his voice. Lena. Enough hiding. I stepped in front of her. You're not coming in here, I said firmly. He laughed. Not drunk. Not unstable. Confident. Something about that scared me more than anything. You think you can protect her? He asked through the door. She's mine. No, Lena choked out behind me. I'm not. The doorknob twisted violently. My blood ran cold. Then, footsteps. Voices. Our friends had returned inside. Someone shouted, What the hell is going on? He backed away. Too many witnesses. Too many people. Not enough shadows to hide in. He slipped out the back door, disappearing into the woods just as headlights approached. The police had been called for Jason, but now they were looking for him. The police found him 2 hours later near the main road. He didn't resist. Didn't fight. Didn't speak. Maybe he knew it was over. Maybe he was tired. Lena gave a full statement. I stayed by her side the entire time. Her hands never stopped shaking, and for the first time in months, she didn't try to hide it from me. When it was all over and the sun was rising over the lake, she leaned into me and whispered, I'm sorry I pushed you away. I was scared you'd look at me like I was weak. I took her hand, squeezing it gently. No, I said. You were surviving. And you don't have to do it alone anymore. She broke down again, but it was different this time. Relief. Release. We drove home later that morning. No music. No small talk. Just her head resting against the window and my hand resting on her thigh, reminding both of us, that we were still here. Still fighting. Still together.